How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be looking in the game files of Hearts of Iron 4 and picking out 10 rare and weird events that you probably haven't seen before. Did you know that, just as you have events for the liberation of Paris or liberation of Warsaw, you also have events for the liberation of London? You get one from liberating London from the Germans while in the Allies. You also get a unique one if the USSR is the one that liberates London. What makes this event so rare is for two reasons. One, it's already rare for the Axis to invade the British mainland, and when they do, it's usually the Italians that do it, and the event doesn't pop up if it's Italian occupied. And two, there's little tactical advantage for a Soviet player to try and retake Britain when you're already bordering Germany with your massive army. Though I guess it might be worth retaking London, as you can then make Britain into a communist puppet when the war concludes. I doubt the Soviet AI would even try because they start with a middling navy and no ports that can reach Western Europe, though I guess it could make for a fun scenario. Now, this event can happen from Turkey's first focus, the Montreux Convention, and you may have seen it a few times if you've played a lot with historical focuses turned off. It can be triggered during the convention if both Turkey and the Soviet Union refuse to back down and no compromises are offered. With historical focuses on, the AI on either side will always back down if the other side escalates, and even in ahistorical games, the odds of war breaking out is very low. When war does break out, Romania will join on your side as they have guarantees on you, as well as the Allies if Britain chose to side with you at the end. The Turkish also get a pretty juicy national spirit they only get from this war. 30% war support on top of the 30% you get for defensive wars, plus a 20% defensive buff for core territory, plus recruitable population, plus others. Only lasts for a year, but it's very helpful for when you're trying to gain your footing. From my experience, it's not terribly hard to hold as Turkey. The land border you have of the Soviets is small and mostly mountainous, though since the war happens 2 months into the game, you have little time to build up forts and anti-air. They will also have air supremacy and can bomb you anywhere. If the British do join your side, I assume that you won't have to worry about that, since they'll bring their air force over to protect you. You also have a decent navy that you can put on strike force in the Black Sea, so naval invasions shouldn't be an issue unless you like to bait naval invasions for encirclements. You'll also want to watch out for the Kurdish, because if they rise up during the war, there'll be Soviet troops in Ankara quicker than you could say shish kebab. Overall, it's a doable war even if the British don't side with you. It's just very long and boring. The next one is also about the Montreux Convention, and occurs if the convention ends with the Straits remaining demilitarized. The steps to do this are basically the same as before. Both the Soviets and Turkey must escalate the situation once each, but when the British get their chance to either continue backing the Turks or abandoning them, the Brits must abandon them. The Turks then must choose the option that all is lost, we must capitulate wholly to the whims of the Soviet Union. You'll then get this event, the Turkish Straits remain demilitarized. If you can't simply tag switch, you won't be able to get this in games with historical focuses turned on, as the Turks will compromise 100% of the time if the Soviets mobilize. On ahistorical, there is a 40% chance they'll stand firm and escalate the situation, and a 30% chance the British will back them if they do escalate the situation. Unless they've done the global defense focus by this point. Except, it's kind of impossible for them to do this, if the Montreux Convention is Turkey's first focus. Somehow that they do, the Brits have a whopping 80% chance of backing the Turks. This one requires Germany to do the Rhineland focus, but then back down if France responds by remobilizing. The Rhineland will remain inaccessible until Germany gets into a war. And if someone declares war on Germany before Germany does any other war, we get this event, Germany is under attack. This event can also happen if you never do the Rhineland or oppose Hitler focuses, and your first war is a defensive war. Though I don't know why you'd ever be in that scenario. I guarantee that nearly everyone watching this video doesn't know about this one. This event requires Germany to complete the Anschluss focus while Austria is in a civil war. Germany will immediately annex the original government and put themselves in direct war with the rebels if the rebels are democratic or communist. However, if the rebels are fascist, then Germany will annex the rebels and be at war with the original Austria instead. The Anschluss event will look very similar except for a few choice lines, such as that the German soldiers were greeted by cheering crowds in the cities as they rushed through the country to join the Austrians fighting in the Civil War, and a quote by Hitler saying that the struggles of the people will soon be over. These changes would probably go unnoticed even by those that somehow made this event fire without cheats, which is a shame because these slight changes are a nice little touch. Did you know there is an event where Trotsky can be killed in Argentina instead of Mexico? The event states that Trotsky was strangled to death by a mountaineering sling, one of these things, with the murderer being a Portuguese national linked to the Soviet Intelligence Directorate GRU for short. This is of course very similar to the actual assassination of Leon Trotsky, in which he was attacked with an ice pick, also used for mountaineering, with the killer being a Spanish national with ties to the NKVD. I'm unsure how to make it so that Trotsky seeks refuge in Argentina and not Mexico, as the event of him arriving in Mexico doesn't give you an option to send him elsewhere without you extraditing him to the Soviet Union. You have to activate a global flag in the game's code called Trotsky Not Welcome in Mexico for him to not go to Mexico, and I can't find the requirements for activating it. I'm assuming you have to go fascist early in the game, or do one of the pro-Catholic / anti-communist focuses. Let me know in the comments if you know how to trigger this one organically. Otherwise, I'm assuming it's a placeholder of some sort. Also, if you use console commands to rush to this focus, behead the snake, and you have a spy agency built, you can kill Trotsky while he's still in Norway. Though it is the exact same event that you normally get for a subtle assassination in Mexico, and the event even says he died in Mexico City Hospital. While perusing through the UK focus tree, you would have noticed for the communist paths this warning in red. If decolonization had not been achieved within 2 years of becoming communist, a civil war will start. So what happens is that, if you don't finish every focus in this path within 2 years of becoming communist, you get a communist civil war in your mainland. So it'll be a communist war between you, the Union of Britain, and the rebels, the true Union of Britain, who start with between 15 to 20 divisions. I think it's worth going through with the Civil War to not do these decolonization focuses. They take a little under 2 years to finish, and while you do get a lot of political power from them, you then have to deal with dozens of new countries lagging your game, and Argentina controlling the Falklands. It's just not worth it. This one's rather simple. Instead of the Italians being the ones that always take or fail to take Cairo, it's the Germans that do the job. And that doesn't mean that you can take Cairo through Italian-owned land. No, you have to naval invade Egypt as Germany to get it. This probably happens a lot in multiplayer games, but in single player it is very rare. I think I've only seen the German AI do this once in my hundreds of hours of playing vanilla. The younger brother of the Fall of Pearl Harbor and the Fall of Los Angeles events, this event requires you to occupy the Panama Canal while you're at war with the USA. I initially thought this was a simple enough event to achieve, however, from testing it, it seems that invading the Panama Canal is bugged. Invading from the Pacific forces you to go around the entirety of South America for some reason. Declaring war on the country of Panama, you can reach the canal from invading through its territory. Not an issue if you're invading through the Caribbean, though if you've pushed far enough into America to do that, you may as well focus on capitulating them. Now this one is a weird one, and I think it only appeared as a glitch and used to occur before Spain was reworked with the La Resistance DLC. During the Spanish Civil War, players who saved the game then reloaded that save could get an event where the Civil War ends inconclusively, and the Nationalists and the Republicans split the country in two. Reading through the game files, there doesn't seem to be a way to legitimately trigger this event, and I think it's just there as a placeholder. Forum posts from people who got this event say that the Civil War would just continue anyway. Alright, that's it for events. Thanks for sticking around. Be sure to chuck a like and a subscribe my way, because I hope to make more of these kind of videos in the future. Take care.